Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Joy of Photo Colourisation. Today we are going to colorize this image of this lovely Edwardian lady. We are very lucky to actually have a scan of the digital negative of the original photograph. Now the photo has got some damage, so I've gone ahead and I've restored the photo just to save us some time. So here is the photo now restored and ready for colorizing, and I've also gone ahead and created the skin palette using a photograph of someone of nowadays, a colored photograph, in order to create a skin palette that will make the photo look natural and real once we finish the colorization. All of these techniques are available on my course, Photo Restoration and Colorization with GIMP. So let's start by creating a base layer, and we're going to call this layer the base skin. And we are going to turn this layer onto the LCH color. And then we are going to pick, using the pick, we are going to pick a color from the palette as her base, which we've just done, and now we are going to paint basically her face. So we're going to paint all of her skin, and here I speed up the video so you don't have to sort of watch me do this, but basically we just go into all the nooks and crannies and we just colorize all her skin, going into all the little bits around the face. Okay, then we take the smudge tool and we blend it around the edges and around the face, because we don't want like any sort of sharp lines or any blocks of color. And now it's time to add the shadows of the face, so we're going to call this layer shadow. And this time we're going to go for a soft light, and we're going to pick a dark color there, almost like a very dark brown, and with our brush we are going to start sort of covering the shadows of her face. Now in some photos you might need to use more than one layer like this, but in this one this will be okay. So once you've done that, you will reduce the opacity there, and then again using the smudge tool you will blend the color in. Now it may look like nothing has happened, but after you blend, if you actually turn the layer on and off, you'll actually be able to see the difference. So just blend it really nicely. See, on and off, you can see the difference. Okay, and we're kind of happy with that. So now we're going to add some light. So we're going to add a layer of light. Again, we're going to pick from the palette, and we pick the lighter part there, the lighter color there, and we're going to turn it, the layer, into soft light, and we are going to add some highlights. This is almost a little bit like applying makeup. Ladies will know what I'm talking about. So we're just adding some highlights, then again we're turning down the opacity, and again using the smudge tool we blend all of these really nicely. So now it's time to add a new color, and we're going to add the blue hue. I call this the blue hue, which generally goes inside the eyes and also around the eyes. So again, it's a soft layer, a soft light layer, and again just under the eyes, and then we reduce the opacity, and again we just blend. Okay, so there we go. So now I think it's time to add the rosy bits of the photograph. So using the color picker, now all of these colors, like I said before, they are taken from a color photograph, a current color photograph, which I found with someone with a similar complexion. So using the picker, I've now taken the Rosy color from there, and I'm going to start applying. But looking at it, I actually think that this might not be the right color for this face. I think I need a little bit pinker, so I'll go into the foreground color, and I'm changing the color into a more of a pink. Yeah, and this is much better. So I now apply the rosy bits, obviously in the lips, in the cheeks, and we mustn't forget the ears. A lot of people forget the ears, but you mustn't forget that the ears are never the same color as the face. So again, we're reducing the opacity, and we are blending, 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 blending. So this is like a kind of a repetitive add layer, reduce opacity, blend, blend, blend. Okay, so I think now it's time for us to add a little bit more difference of color. So we're adding like a kind of a, it's not a dark and it's not a light, it's just in the mid term, just to add some depth to the photo. So here we are adding this kind of tea with milk color, and again we are lowering the opacity and then blending, 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 blending. Okay, I think Constance is starting to look quite pretty, and definitely looking quite alive. So it's now time to start looking at the other parts of the photo. So the next thing we're going to do, obviously, it's going to be the eyes. So looking at the eyes, we're going to go with a soft light layer, and I'm going to go and pick a nice pale blue. Some people get overexcited and go to like really vibrant blue, but then the photo doesn't look real. So it's better to go to with a soft blue and just add it to the eyes, as you can see there. And then you can always adjust the opacity if you want to make them softer or harder. But in this case, I think this is quite a nice color. I don't think it needs any adjustment. So moving on, it's now time to work on the hair. So for the hair, we're going to use our palette again, and I'm picking the darkest color there. We're going to go for the soft light. And again, we're just going to paint it all, being then extra careful with all these little bits around here. And there's also some loose hair around her face and her hair there. So we're adding that all in. And then, as always, yes, you guessed it, we'll reduce the opacity, take the blender, and just start blending. Blending. Now, do not go too fast on the blending. Obviously, this is a speed play, but take your time and move in between the skin base and the hair base, as you can see I'm doing there, until you achieve an effect that is kind of seamless. So now we are going to add some hair highlights. So I've created another layer. And I'm going to pick the same color as I used for her face, and I am going to add it to the hair just on the bits that are sort of lighter. You can be kind of a little bit sort of fast with this, and then again we reduce the opacity, and you guessed it, we blend, 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 blend. Okay. So I think she is truly starting to come alive. So just a little bit more blending, maybe turn down this opacity a little bit more. I'm turning down her skin opacity a little bit, and it's time to maybe start looking at the blouse. Okay, so for the blouse, we're going to go for the plain Edwardian blouse, so a new layer called Blouse. soft light, and because blouses were generally white, I'm picking a very, very light blue, which comes out almost as white. And then, as you always, we're going to paint the blouse. And then we are going to be extra careful when we're going around the flower. So here we are. And now we made a little mistake, so we sort of take the eraser and we erase the color where we don't want it. Very, very careful, and we can always turn the layer on and off to make sure we know what we're doing. And now, as always, I am sort of blending the edges so it sort of blends into the background. And there, I've just realized the flower there was actually colorized by the blouse, so I had to fix that mistake. And you see, if you turn it on and off, you can actually see if you've made a mistake, so you can correct it. So now we just carry on with a blend, just making it kind of blend into the background. We adjust the opacity. And now we're going to work on the flowers. So for the flowers, we create a new layer. This one will be an LCH color layer. And we're going to start with the stalks, which we are going to make green. And very, very carefully, with a very small brush, we are going to fill in all the green bits of the photo. Obviously, you can adjust the size of your brush as you go along in order to fit into all the different bits. Then, as always, we're going to reduce the opacity a little bit. And now we're going to create a new layer for the flowers. And I am a sucker for pink, so I'm going to go for pink pansies. And I am going to turn the layer into soft light. And now I am going to carefully colorize each of these flowers with the pink. And you have to be very, very careful. Use very, very small brush that goes into all the nooks and crannies. And then we reduce the opacity so we have like a beautiful pale pink. And now we can see more or less where we are with the photo. She is pretty much done, so all that's left really is maybe do a little bit of extra blending just to make sure the blouse sort of blends into the back. And now perhaps we will consider adding a background. So let's create one last layer and let's call it background. And we could go for something like brown, but I think blue is a good idea because it will make her eyes pop. So I'm going to go there to my foreground color. I'm going to pick like a proper blue, soft light, and I am going to sort of fill not all the background, just the sort of the darker bits around her. And then I'm going to reduce the opacity well down, and then again, you guessed it, I'm gonna blend it, and here we are. So this is her before and this is her after. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Do leave me some feedback down, and if there are anything you want me to cover, let me know.